on. And what we want to talk about now is we want to talk about this notion of a third party. So just to clarify, third party or minor party means the same thing. It's just not the Republicans and Democrats. So it could be the Green Party, Libertarian Party. Those are kind of the more prominent populist, socialist, communist. And then there's all those silly ones, you know, out there as well, like the Boston Tea Party and, you know, that sort of thing. That's not the same thing as independent. Independent is an absence of party. So you're just running as a person. That happens on occasion. Like we've had some really interesting independents run for governor and be successful. But typically what happens is a party will form around them because you need an apparatus. Like you need an organization to support you. So I wanted to show you this political cartoon, and we're going to use this to answer the next 3 questions on your paper. This was actually an FRQ years ago. They don't typically put cartoons on there on the exam, but sometimes they will. So this references the election of 2000, which historically, remember, was super important because it was the first time since the 1800s that we had somebody lose the popular vote but win the Electoral College. So there was a lot of analysis of that election. During that election, there was a prominent third-party candidate, this guy named Ralph Nader. And Nader ran in 2000 and 2004. He was a Green Party candidate, which means he had a very left-leaning platform. Some of the things that he suggested, I remember distinctly because minimum wage was low, it was like $4.25. Well, but y'all, I mean, it's 17 years ago. So, and he advocated raising it to $8 an hour. Okay, so you guys get that would be okay. Okay, I'm glad y'all have been paying attention to economics. So anyway, a big goal, I don't know that it was necessarily Nader's goal, but a big goal of a lot of the Nader supporters is they really wanted the Green Party to get at least 5% of the popular vote. And they did. He got a little over 5%. And the reason being is because remember last unit we talked about campaign finance law? If your party is an established party and they've been relatively successful, you might potentially qualify for public funding. Don't remember what I'm talking about? The check yes, blah, blah. Okay, so public funding 2004 has not been a big deal for the Republican and Democrats, but for the Green Party, that would be massive because it would be such a source of funding. So Nader was invited in the debates. So remember in this last election, Johnson wasn't invited and Jill Stein wasn't invited, but Nader did participate in the presidential debates with Gore and W. Okay, all right, so if you look at your paper then, questions 11, 12, and 13, I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to answer. So question 11 is simply asking you for the point of view in the cartoon, and I'll leave the cartoon up there for you. Question 12, identify and explain two rules of the United States electoral system, how they act as an obstacle to minor party candidates. There are actually 3 possible answers. And then on the next question, on the back sheet, it wants to know, well, what's good about third parties then? If we know third parties aren't going to get elected, why do they run? What is their value? What service do they perform in our system? So let's take about 10 minutes, and then we'll see what you guys are able to come up with.